So Shanghai, located in China, is starting construction on an $898 million esports arena, US $898 million, and it
Mhm.
continues to push itself to be the world gaming capital.
Yeah, kind of nuts. Feels like a major milestone in the legitimacy of esports. I mean, esports is already a legitimate like event, activity, sport. Um, like with the League of Legends Finals Championship, like having more unique viewers than the Super Bowl like last year, which is just crazy. Um, but I think that I mean Shanghai's a good place for this to start. They have the world's largest esports market in the world, and like there's a statistic in this article that says that meanwhile 70% of China's 720 million gamers play esports. 70% of 720 million gamers. I mean, like how do you think like that compares to the U.S.?
Yeah, I, as you and I were discussing previously, we would think that in the United States specifically, the number of competitive esports players has to be significantly less, I would say, than 70% as comparative to China. As you were just talking about the legitimacy and just the further stepping stone of China, taking the initiative to build such a I guess a pristine venue for esports specifically. I kind of began to think about more historically. I wonder if you were to look comparatively to the history of, and we often, I think, compare esports to normal sports, which I don't think is necessarily a fair comparison, but I would just be curious in terms of like the history. How long does it take to get legitimized in terms of like organizing these sorts of things? So basically, kind of what I'm saying is like, gaming has been a pretty like profound thing for a good number of years now. But obviously, as we continue to see, this sort of financial investment, I'm curious is if the timeline is kind of along the same as professional sports. Like, does it take 30, 40 years before
I
we,
mean,
started to see these things?
I think what it really takes is money. I mean, the money has to be there, right? Like there
Yeah,
has like that's the big thing, and like TV made it easier. Like it took sports a lot longer because they needed to get money from TV, right?
right.
And you needed to have TVs in homes of everybody to have ad revenue and all that kind of stuff. So I mean, like if the money is there, I think that that's what gives um, like professional sports and esports legitimacy. So like I know we were kind of running through a list of some of
Hmm.
the people who are invested in esports, and it just shows that the money, you know, like so you kind of you had a list, Nick. Who are some of the big names of people who own esports teams right now?
Yeah, you guys will definitely recognize some of these names. We're talking Mark Cuban, owner of the Dallas Mavericks, along with a bajillion other businesses.
Right.
Shaquille O'Neal, former NBA player, current TV host. MLB stars like Alex Rodriguez, NFL owners like Robert Kraft and Jerry Jones. And then, in addition to celebrities like Ashton Kutcher, Tony Robbins, who's a motivational speaker, Jennifer Lopez, aka J Lo. That's my girl. But I think, yeah, I would agree. From a technological standpoint, but then more so financial standpoint, I think is a big component of it. But going back and kind of where I would like to possibly take this in general is, do you think in the United States, in America, we will continue to see an organization, or do you think we'll continue to see an emphasis? I know that for colleges, they've continued to, organize and form not necessarily professional but amateur esports teams, and
Mhm.
will we continue to see that sort of growth in America? Will America, you know, rival this eventually? Because there is some stadiums, right, and we typically host in the Staples Centers located in LA, in California, the League of Legends finals.
Right, and yes, of course. Like we're gonna continue to see this growing. Having college leagues and stuff is a cool step. Um, but like this what's being built in Shanghai is like the next level. And I think that we're gonna see this come to America at some point. Like right now, I was like kind of doing some research, and one of like the biggest esports dedicated locations is in Arlington, Texas. It's like an esports stadium that only seats like 2,500 people, which is just going to be so much smaller. And like
Yeah.
it took $10 million to build. And then you look at this stadium that's being built in Shanghai at $898 million. I mean, it's going to have a hotel attached. Like this is the next level in gaming, and I think that at some point the United States is going to build something like this because with this industry growing the way that it is, the money that is involved and the money that is there, and we know that's there, people are going to push to have these big events come to their towns, their states,
Yep.
their cities. And I think having a location like this, a venue like this, is what's really going to drive people to that location. And I think we're going to see more sites like this around the world, and it's going to be more of like a tour. You know,
Yeah.
it's gonna be a gaming tour.
That's actually pretty exciting to think about. Yeah,
Yeah,
personally, as a big fan of esports, competitive gaming, it really excites me to see.
yeah, yeah. Me too. I'm looking forward to see where these things go in the future. And I mean, it's only getting bigger. It's only getting bigger right now. So.
That's what she said.